Good evening and welcome to our Facebook Live this evening. My name is Jenny McCormack and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and I'm based in the market town of Brackley, which is in Northamptonshire in the UK. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. It is, let me see, it is the 18th of November. I had to do a double check just to make sure I'm on the right day. Don't know where the time is going, but we're currently on the 18th of November. It's a Thursday evening and I've had a productive week so far, so that's always a good sign. I've just booked up all of my sessions in Evenley Village Hall. Hi Jeanette. For next year, January through to December, both for my classes and also for our team meetings, which we hold there on the second Tuesday of each month, and our classes typically on the last Tuesday of each month. Not always, but mostly. Hi Jeanette. So it's been a productive day, and it's always nice to be planning stuff for next year. But I've still got events coming up for December and the end of November. So that's great. I've got work underway for our class in a box and our classes, the first of which for November is next Tuesday. So looking forward to seeing people. I brought this month's class forward because we're meeting early in December, and I didn't want the classes too close together, so I always bring the November one forward by a week and obviously the December one forward because of Christmas. So today we are using the Peaceful Cabin bundle for the last time. There's so much more you can do with this. I was just thinking this is perfect for a shadow box, a diorama. There's so many more things you can do. So it may not be the last we'll see of it, but it's the last for this week. So we've used the stamp set. The stamp set is £21. And yesterday I introduced the dies, and they're available at £34. Hi Lynn. Oh, thanks Janet. Yeah, it doesn't always happen like that. And if you buy the two together, then you save yourself 10% off both of those, and the bundle itself is $49.50. You can also buy the matching papers that we used yesterday, called Peaceful Christmas. Okay, so let me show you some of the cards, including some of the cards that we made at class in October. And then I'll make a card using some of the dies. Hi Brenda, thanks for joining us. So I'm just going to run through these. These aren't in any particular order, but I just wanted to show them to you. Some you will have seen already because they were from my Facebook Live. So we have this one here, which is just literally the papers. So these papers are glorious. You could make 72 cards just with the papers alone if you cut them in portrait. I'm not sure that you would use every single one, so I'd say you'd make at least 50 Christmas cards just out of the pack of paper. And obviously layers of card and just stamping. So all I've done on this one is nothing else but stamp a sentiment, Happy Christmas, across the bottom. Hi Chris. So these are ones that we made in class. This is exactly the same card effectively. All I've done is stamp the sentiment from the Peaceful Cabin stamp set on the top of this section, and the paper then, if I just tilt it you can see it, is that one there. This was a card I made yesterday, and this is what we'd be making for our coffee and card this week and next Monday. which will be just stamping elements from the stamp set. So I've stamped the cabin and the trees and the little bit of fence, and this lovely sending love message. I think that's really sweet, and that's just mounted on a white card. This one was another one from class where I've added the little fox. So stamp sentiment, and also these trees have been stamped, and the rest are the papers. This was the one we made yesterday, where I've stamped the cabin in soft suede, added the trees, and put all of that onto the background papers. I'm hoping you can see those. Perhaps I should lift them up a little bit more. This was another variation that we did the day before, which was again just stamping onto the papers. So this element here is the papers, and I've just added the sentiment on the top, the cabin and the fox. This was one that I did on the live, again stamping on the papers but with the deer, this one in the front, and then this one, and then I cut out the tree from a scrap piece and laid that on the top, just so I didn't have to mask that whole tree off. So it's a bit of a cheats version really. Okay, and then this is another one from Coffee and Card, so just literally stamping, and I think I did this on Monday, and this was one that we did yesterday with the cabin cut out. Okay, this one we did earlier in the week. So this is the one that I'm going to recreate today using this cutout. So this die cutout cuts the top of the cabin in the same way it cut this one, but it has an extra die that you put inside, cut at the same time, and so you get that really nice cabin. And we've got a little bit of yellow card behind to make it look like there's lights on. Not sure if you can see that, hopefully you can. And then these trees are cut from the dies as well. And then finally, here's another design for Coffee and Card for tomorrow and Monday. And this just uses the deer from Peaceful Deer. I'll just bring that up a little bit. Sorry, I'm moving a lot today. The trees from the Peaceful Cabin. And then I've just added a little bit of detail with a blends pen, and then Merry Christmas across the top. And of course, I had to put that cute little deer on the envelope as well. And you could put antlers on this to make this a male deer if you wished. Okay, so this is the one that we're going to recreate. Now, I know I've made some of these in class, but I always think if I end up with a lot of cards, that means it was a really easy stamp set to use, or easy dies. Okay, so that's always my guideline. If I end up with loads, that's just an indicator of how easy it is to use. And Jeanette and Chris were both at the class, so they will have similar ones, although they may not have done. I think Chris did Christmas, I think Jeanette did non-Christmas, as I remember. So this is the one that I'm going to recreate. I haven't quite decided what card base I'm going to use, but let me show you the components. So I've cut this piece out here from some thin Whisper White. I've got, this happens to be grey granite actually. I've got slightly different background, okay, but still from the same papers. This has just got snowflakes on. The other side has got that lovely gingham. And then I've got a scrap of yellow that I'm going to use for these windows, and a card base, which will probably be Smoky Slate, because that's what I've cut out ready. So let's work this piece first. So I've just seen a tiny bit in there, this little one here, So I'm going to poke that out. Now I have put everything in my bag ready for coffee and card tomorrow. So I'm hoping that I've taken out what I need for this evening. Hi Kate. Oh, thank you, Lynn. So all I'm going to do is cut a small piece. This is crushed curry actually, but a small piece of yellow card that's going to go behind here like so. So it's going to go in that little gap. So all I'm going to do is just take a little sliver of that off so it fits nicely. And I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on either side of this window. If I hold it up against here. So I'm going to put a bit of glue here and here and apply my yellow strip to it. I found that was the easiest way to lay that down. I hope you're well, Kate. Thanks for joining us. So we're going to pop that on there. Just push that down, give it an opportunity to attach itself, like so. Okay, now when I put this on the background, I don't know if you can see, but you can see the background through these holes, and that looks quite different to this one here. And what I've done is I've just cut out the outline of the cabin with a scrap piece of card. So I'm going to do that and show you how to layer that up. This is going to be our base that we're going to work on to create our design, and then we're going to layer that up maybe onto a piece of white and then onto smoky slate, or maybe a piece of basic grey. So for that I just need this single die here. So this is the one that cuts the outline, and then there is another die that goes in if you want to cut this at the same time. I've got my die cutting machine somewhere. I just turned round thinking it was behind me, but I put it away. Okay. How crazy is that? Right. Excuse me while I get it out. I might just put it on the side here. Okay. So the trick when you're cutting these out is to make sure the chimney is in the same what's the word, parallel, thank you, to the edge of your card. The temptation is to try and put this straight, and then you end up with a house on a slant. Okay, so that's my top tip for that. I'm just going to pop this down. I know you can't see all of this. I'm just going to have this on the side, so apologies for that. Oh, bless you. A fire alarm in the middle. Oh my goodness. Hello, Tracy. That's all a bit much, fire alarms, isn't it? So I'm just literally going to pop that on there and cut this out. So Tracy will have seen this because Tracy takes my classes, so she'll have seen the video for this, but I wanted to share it with you. I can share it with you now the class has taken place. Okay. How funny that that wasn't there. I was expecting it. Okay, so it's basically just a shadow image of the cabin, and that's the same one you would use if you were cutting out let's find it, this one here that we did yesterday. So it's exactly the same one just cutting that out, and this has been stamped obviously, and then this one just cut out. Just going to pop out that little hole there. So what I'm going to do is pop this directly behind, like so. If you can see that. Hi Zana, nice of you to join us, thank you. And you can, if you want, have this just slightly offset to make it look like a shadow and to see that element behind it. It's entirely up to you. Okay, if I turn this over, it does give quite a nice effect here as well, so I think I'm going to do that, and I'm just going to put these two flat. So what I'm going to do is just offset it to the left so that you've got these pieces here, and I know that the whole thing is bigger than my element there. So what I'm going to do is just put some dots of glue along those edges, like so, a little bit on the roof. I really must replace my piece here. I took the label off that had the sizes on, and now I've got a big chunk taken out of it. Okay, so let's put a little bit on here and there. So all I'm going to do is place this on here, just very slightly offset, not a huge amount. Like so. Alright, so you can see this shadow here. Okay, I've got my snowflake background, but you could do this with any of the backgrounds, any of the trees, or you could create your own scene. So as we did earlier, this one here, you could sort of recreate that. You could either use the papers behind, or you could stamp the scene behind. Entirely up to you. It just depends on your preference in terms of the cards that you make, and whether obviously you've got the stamps to go with it. These dies will work entirely on their own, okay, for using this here. Obviously the one that has the little fox won't make any sense really without the stamp to go with it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to layer these up, and I have die cut some of these trees. So these are the trees, and the card that I've got is from our silver foil collection, which is a series of different silvers. So there's a brushed silver, there's a matte silver. This is one of the brushed silvers, and you can then move these trees around. So what I'm going to do is cut another piece of white like I have here. Okay, and I think, yes, I popped that one on with dimensionals, and then this one on with dimensionals as well. So I have, at least I hope I have, a spare piece of white here, and all I did, I want to sort of go, well, it doesn't really matter, I'm just going to start want it to go down like that. Okay, you could use either one of these. Oh, it was a scrap of paper, wasn't it? Okay, whichever one suits. You could also use, if you had the curvy dies that we had last year, there were curvy Christmas and then curvy other dies, you could use those for cutting And if you had the scenery ones that had the little trees on, although the trees would be the wrong size, you could use those as well. I just literally, as you can see, just cut it with a pair of scissors. So this is my finished size. So all I'm doing is just working out roughly where I want this all to go. When I've stuck it down, I'm then going to trim the edges off, rather than trim it to size and then fit it. I just find that gives you a nicer edge. So what I'm watching is for this here and making sure that that will fit on my card, which it will. And then what I'm going to do is add in these trees. So I have three trees here. They can go really wherever you want. And so there's three different ones. Those two are the same. There's another one tucked under here somewhere. But I want to stamp my sentiment on here first. I'm going to do that before I do anything else. And I've just got a Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, I beg your pardon, from Sparkle of the Season. Because I haven't got much space here, I just want something narrow, and I just think that's a really nice sentiment. Also has snowflakes. Merry Christmas. So I'm just going to stamp that, and I'll stamp it probably in basic grey. So if anybody is around in Brackley area tomorrow, we'll be making not these die cut ones, but we're making the stamped cards at Coffee and Card, and also in Toaster on Monday afternoon. Right, let me grab a block. So as I was saying earlier on, I booked all my dates for 2022 today. Might put this one a little bit more in the middle, I don't know. There we go. Hi Kerry, good morning to you. There we are, that's going to definitely work on there, isn't it? So I'm feeling really positive about all our activities for next year, and I've also booked up for my buy one get one free, which will take place at the end of November, and I think that makes it the 28th of November. Let me have a look if that is a Sunday, which it is. So the 28th of November, so a week on Sunday, I will be having a buy one get one free sale. So you can buy anything from my retiring stock and then choose the equivalent amount for free from any of the current catalogues. It'll be in person to start with, and then I will take the sale online after the in-person event. I do like to give priority to my in-person customers. So save the date, and I'll send out information probably tomorrow evening. Okay, so let's have a go with this. I just want to get a feel for where I'm going to put this. Give myself enough space for the trees. I don't want the tree coming off the top. And so perfect. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do, sorry, I'm deliberating a little bit here, is mark the back of this where this is going to be and cut this down a little bit first. because I want enough space for my front element. So grab my trusty pencil, draw a line there, and I'm going to just cut that piece to start with. So I wonder how many of you have the Peaceful Cabin stamp set, or whether it's on your wish list. Okay, so there's that one. Okay, so this one doesn't have to be at the bottom because it's going to have a layer on top of it. But that's what I wanted to make sure, is that I could fit those both in. Right, so I'm not worrying about the two sides. I just want to get a feel for where my trees will fit in. Got a large one, oops, and some smaller ones, something along those lines. Okay, that is fine. So I feel that I can bring this down a little bit, so I'm going to take dimensionals onto the back of this and layer this onto here just to give it a little bit of height. Oops. So just supporting this. I'm not going to do them right at the end because I know I'm going to cut the some of these edges off. So Kerry, I hope you've got a good day ahead of you. For those of you that don't know, Kerry is over in Australia. There we go. Okay, let's pop that on. I hesitate to say it, but I can't believe it's Friday tomorrow. Kerry's already in Friday. Bless her. But it's been a good week actually, and it's been busy, but it hasn't been too manic. However, I do have the class in a box all to prepare, so it will begin to get a little bit manic now. Okay, so that's that layer there. Oh, bless you, Kerry. No worries. Kerry's off to supervise exams. This won't be a late, a long session anyway. You'll be pleased to hear. Okay, this one is going to go onto there, and this one is going to go on with dimensionals as well. Just going to trim that off because I have got a dimensional on there that's going to stick to everything. I know it. Go. Okay, so you could put this through an embossing folder, which I think I might do, just to give a little bit of texture. Let me see if I can find one. Just grab one to hand. To use the Tasteful Textile one, but you could use that the old paper one, the one that makes it look all sort of scrunched up. That would work, but I think this would work as well. So let me just pop that through the machine. Let's lift this back up. Let's put that through. Oops. This is the benefit of a small craft room, is you can sort of turn around and reach most things. There we go. There we are. But you could use any embossing folder. If you've got our old softly falling one that's got like snow on it, I think that would work, but I think that works equally as well. So I'm going to pop that on with dimensionals and add the trees in, and then layer the whole thing onto a layer and then onto a card. So I wonder how long you spend supervising exams, Kerry. Is it all day? So we'll see how much we're going to trim off either side. About 1/8 of an inch. I think that will be okay. So I'm just going to pop this on. So I do like to work on the smaller panel and then layer it onto a card, so you've got the opportunity to tidy up the sides and they don't stick out over the edge of the card. And that one. And obviously you could add the fox, you could add the deer, you could add the stamp trees. You know, you could just keep going really with this set. Oh, today's all day. Bless you. Okay, so there's that. And now I can tuck my trees in. So if you want the effect of distance, you want your larger trees at the front and then your smaller trees behind. Trim that one down a little bit so it's shorter like that. Okay, so this is going to go flat on there, and I'm going to put a little bit of a dimensional, that's the word, at the top. So just cutting a little piece off there. That might be too big. Let's see. That will work. And then a little bit of glue on the bottom. So if I was doing a whole series of these, then what I would do is literally cut out a whole load of components. Cut out a bunch of trees, cut out cabins, cut out layers with different papers, and then just have a bit of fun putting them all together. Okay. And then this little one here that I've cut off, like so. I could put that on there. No, definitely going in the background. So these are going to go flat. That's it. And then that one. And I'm just going to trim the ends, layer, and this is done. Just moving it. I said cut those from our silver foil pack. So I hope you like that. It's very effective. I think anybody would be really pleased to receive that. And I'm just going to cut these. So you could do these on your trimmer. I tend to use bigger scissors and just line up my blade on the left hand side, only because there's a little bit of dimension in there. There we go. Okay, let me move these little bits into my bin at the side. So, thank you, Kate. So there's that. Now I've left enough space for a layer behind, like I have on here, if you can see that. So I'm just wondering what colour layer that should be, whether that should be basic grey, which is what I had. I don't really want it to be white because I think there's enough white here. So I think it might need to be basic grey. See what I have in my scraps. So there's a basic grey. I think black is too harsh personally. Or should it be white? Perhaps the white actually does work, doesn't it? Let me know what you think. What do we reckon? White, I wonder. I want to trim that because I've made that a little bit wonky. Kerry liked the grey. I am just going to trim. I made a real mess of this edge, look. Oh, okay, everybody likes the grey, which was my instinct, I have to say. I'm just going to trim this off. I'm just going to use my guillotine. And this is a Stampin' Up one, but we don't do it anymore, sadly. Because I really messed up that edge with the scissors. That's better. Okay. Grey it will be. Yeah, it doesn't quite fit that way, does it? Okay, let me cut this down. And you could add sparkle, you could add Winker Stella onto here. I mean, there's all sorts of combinations you could do. So this layer will be 14.35 by 10. This came out of my scraps, like so. got that layer, it's just got a small border, and then that one on top, like so. Yeah, pleased with that. That works, doesn't it? So glue on the back of here. So a light amount of glue, although I put it all over, it is just literally a scribble. If you can see that, you can hardly see it. That's a good sign. Okay, that's that one. That's going to lay it onto there, and again I'm going to use the glue just so I've got a little bit of time to maneuver it into place. Oops, got a little bit carried away there, didn't I? There we go. There's our finished card, which I'm really happy with. Works really well. I will add something on the inside, a Christmas sentiment of some kind from one of the sets, or I might just leave it and then it's ready for a sentiment to go inside. So I think it does look nice with this embossed layer here. Thank you, Kerry, rather than the plain one. That's one of the other silver foils, so you can see this has got a slight sort of purple tint to it. I do quite like it because it really looks quite striking against that. Other than that, it's the same, the background paper slightly different. So there we go, that's another Peaceful Cabin card. So there's a whole stack of those. If you haven't seen them, you can re-watch this video and you'll see them right at the beginning. Not going to show them again. So save the date, 28th of November, if you're local to me, for my buy one get one free sale. So buy any of my retired stock, and that includes stamps, dies, old retired coloured ink pads, accessories and embellishments. Thank you, Jeanette. Have a good weekend yourself. So that's 28th of November. Save the date. I'll pop all the details out in an email. If you're not on my email list, just private message me, or you can go to my website and sign up from there, and you'll get all the latest information. Oh, thank you, Lynn. That's very kind. I'm glad everybody likes them. Yeah, they're just really nice, and they've just got a nice, this is quite a weighty feel about it as well because of the dimensionals. So thank you so much. I'm off to serve up my dinner, and I will catch you on Monday. Be here Monday morning for something completely different for next week. That's not to say that the cabin dies won't be seen again, because they might well be. And I hope everybody has a nice weekend. Look forward to seeing some of you at Coffee and Card tomorrow in the afternoon at Hummingbirds. Thank you so much. Have a good evening, everybody. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate your support, and I really appreciate you joining me. If you're joining on replay and you have any queries, don't hesitate to pop them in the comments and I'll get back to you when I can. Thank you so much. Bye for now.